Hello and good night. Welcome to another bedtime story. This story is meant to help you sleep or to relax your mind. Try and find a comfortable place, such as your bed or a soft chair. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes now. Try and let go of the day as we begin our tale. Tonight's story is Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a poor widow who had an only son named Jack and a cow named Betsy. All they had to live on was the milk the cow gave every morning, which they carried to the market and sold. But one morning, Betsy gave no milk, and they didn't know what to do. "What shall we do? What shall we do?" said the widow, wringing her hands. "Cheer up, mother. I'll go and get work somewhere," said Jack. "We've tried that before, Jack, and nobody would take you," said his mother. "We must sell Betsy, and with the money, maybe we can start a shop or something." "All right, mother," said Jack. "It's market day today, and I'll soon sell Betsy, and then we'll see what we can do." So he took the cow's halter in his hand, and off he started. He hadn't gone far when he met a funny-looking old man who said to him, "Good morning, Jack." "Good morning to you," said Jack, and wondered how he knew his name. "Well, Jack, where are you off to?" said the man. "I'm going to the market to sell our cow there." "Oh, you look the proper sort of chap to sell cows," said the man. "I wonder if you know how many beans make 5. "2 in each hand and 1 in your mouth," said Jack, as sharp as a needle. "Right you are," said the man, "and here they are, the very beans themselves." He went on, pulling out of his pocket a number of strange-looking beans. "As you are so sharp," he said, "I don't mind doing a swap with you. Your cow for these beans." "Go along," said Jack. "Wouldn't you like that, huh?" "You don't know what these beans are," said the man. "If you plant them overnight, by morning they grow right into the sky." "Really?" said Jack. "You don't say so." "Yes, that is so. And if it doesn't turn out to be true, you can have your cow back." "Right," said Jack, and handed him over Betsy's halter and pocketed the beans. Jack went back home, and as he hadn't gone very far, by the time he got to his door, his mother asked, "Back already, Jack? I see you haven't got Betsy, so you must have sold her. How much did you get for her?" "You'll never guess, mother," said Jack. "No, you don't say so. Good boy. 5 gold coins? 10? 15? No, it can't be 20. I told you you couldn't guess. What do you say to these beans? They're magical. Plant them overnight and—" "What?" said Jack's mother. "Have you been such a fool, as to give my Betsy away, the best milker in the parish, and prime beef to boot, for a mere set of beans? Take that! Take that! And as for your precious beans, here they go out the window. And now off with you to bed. You won't have supper." So Jack went upstairs to his little room in the attic, and sad and sorry he was, as much for his mother's sake as for the loss of his supper. At long last, he dropped off to sleep. When he woke up, the room looked funny. The sun was shining into part of it, and yet all the rest was quite dark and shady. Jack jumped up and dressed himself and went to the window. And what do you think he saw? Why, the beans his mother had thrown out the window into the garden had sprung up into a big beanstalk, which went up and up all the way until it reached the sky. So the man spoke truth after all. The beanstalk grew up quite close past Jack's window, so all he had to do was open the window and jump onto the beanstalk, which ran up just like a big ladder. So Jack climbed, and he 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 climbed, till at last he reached the sky. And when he got there, he found a long, broad road going as straight as a dart. So he walked along, and he walked along, and he walked along, till he came to a great, big, tall house. And on the doorstep, there was a great, big, tall woman. "Good morning, madam," said Jack very politely. "Could you be so kind as to give me some breakfast?" For he hadn't eaten anything, the night before, and he was hungry as a hunter. "If it's breakfast you want," said the great, big, tall woman, "it's breakfast you'll be if you don't move off here quickly. My man is an ogre, and there's nothing more he likes better than boys for breakfast. You'd better be moving on, or he'll be coming." "Oh, please, madam, do give me something to eat. I've had nothing all day since yesterday morning, and I'm really, truly hungry," said Jack. "I may as well be broiled and die of hunger." The ogre's wife was not half so bad after all. She took Jack into the kitchen and gave him a hunk of bread and cheese and a jug of milk. But Jack hadn't half finished when, thump, 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 the whole house began to tremble with the noise of someone coming. "Goodness gracious me, it's my old man," said the ogre's wife. "What on earth shall I do? Come along quickly now and jump in here." And she bundled Jack into the oven just as the ogre came in. He was a big ogre, and his belt had 3 calves strung up by the heels. He unhooked them and threw them down on the table and said, "Here, wife, broil me a couple of these for breakfast." "Oh, but what is this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll have his bones to grind my bread." "Nonsense, dear," said his wife. "You're dreaming. Or perhaps you smell the scraps of that little boy you liked so much for yesterday's dinner. Here, you go and have a wash and tidy up, and by the time you come back, your breakfast will be ready for you." So off the ogre went, and Jack was just going to jump out of the oven and run away when the woman told him not to. "Wait till he's asleep," she said. "He always has a doze after breakfast." Well, the ogre had his breakfast, and after that he went to a big chest and took out a couple of bags of gold, and down he sat and counted it till at last his head began to nod off, and he began to snore till the whole house shook again. Then Jack crept out, tiptoeing from the oven, and as he was passing the ogre, he took one of the bags of gold from under his arm, and off he pelted till he came to the beanstalk, and then he threw down the bag of gold, which of course fell into his mother's garden, and then he climbed down, and climbed down, till at last he got home and told his mother and showed her the gold and said, "Well, mother, wasn't I right about the beans? They are really magical, you see." And so they lived off the bag of gold for some time, but at last they came to an end, and Jack made up his mind and thought he would try his luck once more at the top of the beanstalk. So one fine morning he rose up early and got onto the beanstalk, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, till at last he came out onto the road again, and up to the great tall house he had been to before. There, sure enough, was the great tall woman standing at the doorstep. "Good morning, madam," said Jack, as bold and brass. "Could you be so good as to give me something to eat?" "Go away, my boy," said the big, tall woman, "or else my man will eat you for breakfast." "But aren't you the youngster who came here once before? Do you know, that very day my man missed one of his bags of gold." "That's strange, madam," said Jack. "I dare say I could tell you something about that, but I'm so hungry, I can't speak till I've eaten something." Well, the big woman was so curious that she took him in and gave him something to eat. But he had scarcely begun munching on it, as slowly as he could, when thump, 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 they heard the giant's footstep, and his wife hid Jack away in the oven again. All happened as it did before. In came the ogre. He said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum." Then he had his breakfast of 3 broiled oxen. Then he said to his wife, "Wife, bring me the hen that lays the golden eggs." So she brought it, and the ogre said, "Lay," and it laid an egg of gold. And then the ogre began to nod his head and to snore till the whole house shook. Then Jack crept out of the oven on tiptoe and caught hold of the golden hen, and was off before you could say, "Jack, go back." But this time the hen gave a cackle which woke the ogre, and just as Jack got out of the house, he heard him calling, "Wife, wife, what have you done with my golden hen?" And the wife said, "Why, my dear?" But that was all Jack heard, for he rushed off to the beanstalk and climbed down like a house on fire. And when he got home, he showed his mother the wonderful hen and said, "Lay," to it. And there it laid a golden egg every time he said, "Lay." Well, Jack wasn't content, and it wasn't long before he determined to have another try at his luck up there at the top of the beanstalk. So one morning he rose up early and got to the beanstalk, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, all the way till he got to the top. But this time he knew better than to go straight to the ogre's house. When he got near it, he waited behind a bush till he saw the ogre's wife come out with a pail to get some water, and then he crept into the house and got into the copper. He hadn't been there long when he heard thump, 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 just as before, and in came the ogre and his wife. Fee, fi, fo, fum. "I smell the blood of an Englishman," cried the ogre. "I smell him, wife, I smell him." "Do you, my dearie?" said the ogre's wife. "Then, if it's that little rogue that stole your gold and the hen that laid the golden eggs, he's sure to have got into my oven and they both rushed to the oven. But Jack wasn't there, luckily, and the ogre's wife said, "There you are again, with your fee, fi, fo, fum. Why, of course, it's the boy you caught last night that I've just broiled for your breakfast. How forgetful I am, and how careless you are not to know the difference between life and death after all these years." So, the ogre sat down to breakfast and ate it, but every now and then he would mutter, "Well, I could have sworn." And he'd get up and search the larder and the cupboards and everything. Only luckily, he didn't think of the copper. After breakfast was over, the ogre called out, "Wife, wife, bring me my golden harp." So she brought it and put it on the table before him. Then he said, "Sing," and the golden harp sang most beautifully. And it went on singing till the ogre fell asleep and commenced to snore like thunder. Then Jack lifted up the copper lid very quietly and got down like a mouse and crept on hands and knees till he came to the table, when up he crawled, caught hold of the golden harp, and dashed with it towards the door. But the harp called out quite loud, "Master, master," and the ogre woke up just in time to see Jack running off with his harp. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the ogre came rushing after and would soon have caught him. Only Jack had a start and dodged him a bit and knew where he was going. When he got to the beanstalk, the ogre was not more than 20 yards away, when suddenly he saw Jack disappear. And when he came to the end of the road, he saw Jack underneath, climbing down for dear life. Well, the ogre didn't like trusting himself to such a ladder, and he stood and waited, so Jack got a head start. But just then, the harp cried out, "Master, master," and the ogre swung himself down onto the beanstalk, which shook with all this weight. Down climbed Jack, and after him climbed the ogre. By this time, Jack had climbed down and climbed down and climbed down till he was very nearly home. So he called out, "Mother, mother, bring me an axe, bring me an axe." And his mother came rushing out with the axe in her hand. But when she came to the beanstalk, she stood still with fright, for there she saw the ogre with his legs just through the clouds. But Jack jumped down and got hold of the axe and gave a chop at the beanstalk, which cut in half in two. The ogre felt the beanstalk shake and quiver, so he stopped to see what was the matter. Then Jack gave another chop with the axe, and the beanstalk was cut in two and began to topple over. Then the ogre fell down and broke his crown, and the beanstalk came toppling after. Then Jack showed his mother the golden harp, and together with the golden eggs, Jack and his mother became very rich, and they lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you for listening to this bedtime story. I hope you enjoyed the tale tonight. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more audiobooks and tales to come. Until next time.